Hey, it's Bingorilla. No, Bride of Bingorilla. This is another one of these stupid tapes everybody wants me to do. We used to be called the Pin Game Gerbil, but then some mean guy in Michigan decided he was going to sue us, and now we got to think up a new name. So the last tape was Bingorilla, and we decided Bingorilla had to have a bride. So here we are, doing it again. Going to start out with a couple bingos. We got this one here, which is Bally's Miami Beach. This is from the early 50s. This is actually the first bingo game that had a screen. And what I'm doing is I'm putting in lots of nickels. As you can see, it's got just one coin chute on here. It doesn't have any fancy buttons or anything. And the more nickels you put in, the more features you get on the back glass. Now you can see I've already got myself select a number, which is this, and I'm going for 2 extra lines. I also just got red 3 in line scores 4 in line. On this particular bingo, you need to put in about $1 to $1.50 in nickels to get a good game. It's what you call a real pig. And you can see everybody's just kind of hanging out at the beach, having fun. You got chicks in heels on the beach. Makes a lot of sense to me. And it's not giving me anything. Actually, this was a real high production bingo. They made quite a few of them. If anybody has any bingo production numbers, drop them in the mail to me. I need to know how many of these they built.
So how much money are you putting in there?
I'm at about $1.50 now.
In nickels.
In nickels. There we go. Now, if you'll notice, I just got 2 extra lines, and what happened was this gate swung open, and now I have these extra lines that I can play here. So what I'm going to do is shoot my first ball, my second ball, and my third ball. In which case the obnoxious bell starts to ring. Now the obnoxious bell was not original.
How long does that keep ringing?
Until you make your selection.
That isn't nice.
So I've got 1, 3, and 6. If I can get 17, I get a winner. What you can do, you use this knob on the front, and you can select any one of 4 other numbers. 21, 19. And what this would do would give the player a chance to get better odds. See here, if I get 21, I've got 4 in line here, and if I pick 22, I've got 3 in line there. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot this ball so this thing shuts up. Okay, so now 19 and 5 are winners. So I'm going to drop it in 5. And if you'll see here, I've got 3 in a row there. And it's starting to pay me, however slowly. Up here in the meter, it's starting to pay me 12 credits for 3 in a row. So now, if I get the 19, that'll give me 4 in a row. And that'll pay me 36 credits. And it's slowly starting to chug up the hill and pay me my credits. Pay your money back. So I'm about even on that game. Oh, it paid me extra. I actually got 39 credits for that one. But yeah, this is Miami Beach. I always like this game. It's got lots of bathing beauties on it. It's got the original wooden bingo legs. If you ever see a bingo, they have extremely large legs. They're all solid oak. These have been refinished. They've been sanded off and revarnished. Well, no, originally they were, usually get them in there all dark and nicked up and full of beer stains and stuff. Also, these bolts here have been polished, so they look nice. The reason the bingo legs are so thick is because of the weight involved with the head being so huge. But anyhow, time for me to do some begging. That's right, you got to send your $6. Send your $6 to me at this address, just like public TV. You are the eunuch in public TV, so send me $6. That helps cover the cost of the tape and the postage. So if you're watching this, if you just got it on speculation, if you just had it arrive in your mailbox, you now owe me $6. But the next one we're going to do is Sermo's Manhattan. This is another bingo. This one's from 1981. Now you say, hey, they stopped making bingos. But no, they didn't. Bingos were always real big business over in Belgium. Belgian people just love to play the bingos, and they're still making them over there today. As you can see, it doesn't have legs. It's got a what they call a hopper base that goes all the way to the floor. And here we have an actual payout. You get nickels returned from a hopper right here.
That sounds like gambling.
It is gambling. It's 100% gambling. This one's also kind of weird because it's got 2 coin chutes. You get 1 play for a nickel, 5 plays for a quarter.
Doesn't it look like it was on legs at one time?
Yes, this one was built originally to be on legs, and then they just kind of left the holes there. You can see that it's got, down in here, it's got a slot machine hopper hiding down in here. You can see the little nickels are kind of on the track there. That's how you get paid out. And originally this was a Belgian machine, so they put American coin mechs, but they did occasionally do things like use genuine Bally coils on the coin diverters, which is kind of weird. So yeah, this is a neat machine. I've put 100 credits on it so we can play real fast. This is what's called an OK game. If you look back here on the glass, it's got a section called OK. Now what that was originally for was, it was a second game, an actual replay that you could get if you got 2 balls in the orange section. Up here you see your main bingo card. We'll start pressing the button here. Now the thing that's weird about this is you put your first nickel in and you get your ball, and unlike a mechanical bingo, as fast as you can press this button, it'll give you additional features and take your credits away. So if you just hold this button down, it's taking away my credits really, really fast.
Where are those extra features?
They're not appearing. This one's what you call a real tight pig. And I don't have a manual for this game. If somebody in Europe is watching and has a manual for a Sermo Manhattan, there it is in Belgium. So I'm just piling up the credits. If you look at the credit meter down there on the left, you can see how fast it's going down. So I just spent 100 nickels and got squat.
$5?
Yeah, $5, and all I got was my A, B, C, and D. Now what that allows me to do is physically move that screen during the play of the game so that I can get different combinations that might possibly win. One good thing I did get for my $5 is I got these red odds all the way up to 192, 480, and 600. So if I could get somehow 5 in a row, I would win 600 nickels. But it has to be on red. So I just put in another $5, and I'm wasting more credits just as fast as they can go. Now if you look, I just got my E, F, and G. Now the only thing I really want, my yellow odds went up to 600. And I want my OK game. But I don't think I'm going to get it. I think it's going to cost me $10 and I'm not going to get my OK game.
It cost you $10 to just start the game.
Yeah. Well, I can spend more. I mean, there's also at the end of the game, you can buy extra balls, which is a whole nother $5 or $10.
Sounds like a real moneymaker.
Yeah, these things make big dough. Okay, there's my OK game. I got it on like the third to the last quarter. So now I'm $10 quarter. I'm going to shoot my first ball, my second ball, and my third ball. They're bouncing around there having a good time. They're going to land in some holes. And we're going to look back here on the bingo card. And now what I can do is actually move that card using my left and right buttons.
Woo!
And if you're used to the old Bally Bingos where all that was made out of metal and you had a clanking noise, that's actually a printed vinyl screen that's like silent. Now if you look at this blue section, you'll notice that blue is not one of the three colors. Blue is a separate section, and it says up here on the left, 3 in blue section score is green 5. Well, my green 5 is up to 300, so if I can get 13 and 21, I'll score 300 nickels. But that's not what I want to do. I want to get in red or yellow. So if you can see, I've got one in yellow, and it doesn't look like I have much going on in red. And I've got my time to cheat. When all else fails, cheat. We're going to drop one in 5, which is here, and we're going to drop one in 14, which is over here. Now I've got 3 in yellow, here, here, and here, so that will win me 600 credits. And even more importantly, I have press buttons after shooting 5th ball. Now to a bingo player, that's like Nirvana when that's lit. Not the grunge rock group, but the really thing you want to have. So now that the game's over, I'm going to press the R button, which is down here for registering plays, and it's going to go through.
It's going to go through. Time to get out the hammer.
Oh no, it's S. It's S on the sermos. Okay, it is determined that I have a winner of 600. Now it's trying to tease me by saying, do you want to go double or nothing? But me being a coward, I'm going to press the half regular and half double or nothing button, which means I'm going to take 300 credits by pressing the half button. And it's going to give me 300 credits, and I'll play double or nothing with the other 300. So it's totaling up my winnings. Go, man, go. Now I can choose double or nothing on the rest by pressing the DN button. And I got double? Yeah, I did get double.
Wow.
Now it's asking me, do I want to take my winnings and go double or nothing again? And being chicken, I'm going to press the R for regular button, and it's going to pay me the rest of my credits. So the credits are piling up there. And now because I have after 5th ball, I can actually move the screens after the game is over and see if I have other winning combinations and collect 2, 3, even 4 times on the same game. So you can see I'm piling up the credits.
This credit piling up takes a while.
Yeah, definitely. But, okay, I'm going to move my screens after 5th ball. See, I've already collected my winnings, and now I'm going out hunting for more winnings.
You're a winner.
Now, I've already collected on yellow, and if you see here, I've got 3 in yellow, but since it's after 5th ball, I can move. Look, there's 3 in red. So now I can collect that. I'll take regular score just to speed things up. So what I'm getting is another 192 credits on red, and when I'm done with that, I'll shift it to green and collect a third time on green.
So, what's the purpose of all this?
Gambling. Oh, listen to it. It's slowing down.
It's getting tired.
It's getting tired. It doesn't like to pay me.
So do those credits equal...
That equals nickels. That's the amount of nickels I have won.
Wow.
So now I'm going to move it over to green. I was on a red winner. Now I'm going to move it over to green and collect a third time. And go double or nothing. I got double.
Hey, you just don't seem to lose.
Well, here, I'm going to keep going until I lose. Double or nothing. Nothing. I just got wiped out.
No.
But I still have 480. So this is a great game. Oh, one more feature it's got called extra balls. Now if I want to go for this 7 up here, I can buy an extra ball by pressing the yellow button. And at random, it will give me an extra ball. And if I press this button and hold it down, it'll just keep scanning and taking my credits away. And anybody that's ever played bingos knows that you got to determine ahead of time whether the game is generous. Ah, there it is. There's my extra ball. And it only cost me about $3 or $4. So I shoot the extra ball, I get it in the 7 hole right there, and now I have another winner, because instead of having 3 in a row, I now have 4 in a row. And I can't move the screens anymore. Oh well, so now I can press the button and collect again on the same game. And I got double. So I'll take regular store, and I'm up above 500. I'm rich. Go, man, go. Like a motorcycle. Hey, we're going to do some more pinballs now. I know everybody that likes flipper games hates all those bingos, and all you bingo guys hate all the flipper games, but why can't we just get along? And hey, speaking of which, send me $6, you deadbeat scumbags. Somebody has to pay for the tape and the postage, and we also got to have cat food for little Bob there. And yeah, just send me $6 at that address. There's little Bob. He's my rodent control officer, keeping it clean. But yeah, we got 4 Gottlieb games in a row here we're going to go over. First off is Gottlieb's Showboat. Now this one's from March of 1961, and for a period in 1960 and 1961, they put this little window in all their games that said score to beat. And then behind that there was a little plastic insert that had different numbers. This one happens to be 1100. I always thought that was kind of a dumb idea, because if you didn't know what the score to beat was, you weren't really a pinball player. You were just one of those guys that happened to come in. For whatever reason, I don't know why they stopped doing that. But Gottlieb games in the 60s, all in 60 and 61, all say score to beat. Now this is a great back glass, full of lots of cool things. Once again, it's got Leroy Parker art. And he's got all kinds of strange things going on, like there's a guy who's just swimming down the river there, and here's a guy trying to fish. And of course, they refer to other Gottlieb games from the past. Here's Late Late Show featuring the Texan. Now, the Texan was a Gottlieb 4 player, and I tried looking it up, and apparently Can Can was not the name of any Gottlieb game. So apparently that isn't a Gottlieb game. But down here we have one of the hillbillies from Squarehead. He's on the back glass. And we also have something for you Howard Stern fans up here. We have Now Playing Lesbian Girls. So, no, that's less girls. That's French for lesbian girls.
More girls.
And up here we have Flipper Queen. And Dave Gottlieb had a boat called the Flipper. So he was really into boating, and Leroy Parker would throw in references to the boss's boat. We have a beautiful babe over here sitting on a piling, and we got all kinds of white people having fun. Look at that, she's just kind of half dressed there. And down here we have No Smoking and the Boll Weevil Cotton Company, the Boll Weevil Cotton Pickers Inc. And over here we have, of course, the watermelons. Can't have anything in the South without having watermelons. And inside the watermelons are the tilt lights and all the number match lights. This back glass is kind of ratty. I'm waiting for somebody to reproduce this glass. This game would look really, really nice with a new glass. I got this game from Butch in Florida, and unfortunately whoever had it before me took and sprayed some kind of a spray shellac all over the playfield. So if you can if you see, it's a little bit bright and shiny. Well, that's not my choosing. That was the guy sometime before me who had it, decided, oh, this will do real good if I spray it. Now, unfortunately, it just about doubled the time that it took me to rebuild the game, because I had to scrape the spray varnish off every single metal piece and plastic piece, and it was quite a job. And if you look at the cabinet, this is not the original cabinet. Being from down in Florida, it had gotten wet and moist, and it was actually full of bugs and things. So I had an extra big casino cabinet, so I put it in a big casino cabinet. For all your purists, I have done sacrilege. And here on the corners, we have some of those new chrome corners, which are real nice. Larry Biza in St. Paul reproduced these original chrome corners. Every time you get a game in, these are always worn off. You can write him and buy some. I would recommend it. The only problem is the clip arrangement that he used on some of the early 60s games won't fit. So what I ended up doing is grinding off one of the pins and the original clip arrangement, and I used my old friend Goop. If you saw the first tape in this series, you saw me raving about Goop, and as you can see, it forms kind of like a little seal, holds everything tightly in place. This whole machine is held together with Goop. If there's anybody out there that has a showboat, I need a photocopy of your scorecard, because I had to kind of hand make one there in my usual crude but deadly way. So yeah, if anybody knows where there's a scorecard, send me one. Also, when I was a kid and I played this game, I had a complaint. The original flippers on this game, you have two flippers on this side and you have two flippers on this side. And the problem was, they were both driven by one mechanism, and if you're trying to maneuver a ball down in here and save it from going down, there's no way to individually work each flipper. And as a kid, that for me made the whole game unplayable. So when I got this game, I decided that I was going to make a change. So what I did, we'll lift up the playfield here and show it. Originally, you had just one flipper mechanism here and one flipper mechanism here. I took the original linkage, which was like this cobbled up kind of arrangement, where the one mechanism would pull in, and it would pull not only the first flipper, but the second flipper next to it. And if you look at the condition of this mechanism, you can see it's covered in rust, and it's got a lot of slop in it. And every time this pulls in, you waste all the energy of pulling this mechanism, this linkage, and this mechanism in at the same time. So what you end up with is an incredibly weak flipper. This I decided just to do away with, and what I did was made a cardboard template with these spots on it so that everything would line up exactly. I made a template from here down to here, and I put all the spots on the template, and then I put the template over here, and I put an extra flipper mechanism I had off a scrap machine exactly in the same spot, although you can see right here I didn't quite have enough space to put the bearing in, so I had to kind of machine off the corner of this bearing. I think you got to get over there a little more to see that. Again, if you try to do this, you're going to have some space problems. Right in here I had to kind of shave that bearing off. You're going to have space problems, and you're going to have to get a little creative about moving wire bundles and things like that. Oh, I get a pointer thing. Okay, and if you look over here on the other side, I did the same thing over here. So instead of having 2 coils operating 4 flippers, you have 4 coils operating 4 flippers. And then I wired up a relay right, where'd it go? Right here. No, that's not it. Where is it? It's on here somewhere.
Call out its name, maybe it'll answer.
Here, Lassie. Oh, here it is, right up here. I wired up a relay so that, why isn't it starting here? Oh, I know. Got balls in the trough.
I've had that problem.
Okay, I put this relay in here so that when you first press to start the game, it starts out with the left and the left and the right and the right. And then if you want the original flipper scheme, if for some reason you remember playing it as a kid, you can press the credit button a second time, which will bring this relay in. And what happens then is it goes back to left, left, and right, right. And another thing you'll notice is that when the playfield is up, I'm able to press the flipper buttons without having the silly linkage arrangement that Gottlieb originally had. If anybody's ever worked on a 60s Gottlieb game, you know that there's this ridiculous little metal form with a finger on it that's supposed to link up mechanically with the flipper button. Now what I've done is taken a nice new Gottlieb flipper switch with the big tungsten points, and I've put it physically on the side of the cabinet, and I've run a wire all the way back through to this extra connector back here, and then the extra connector comes back up here and then through the cabling all the way up to the flippers. Now what this means is that I don't have to worry anymore about the playfield shifting a quarter of an inch and the flippers stopping. It's as it should have been in the first place, with a nice reliable single switch on the side of the cabinet. There's your nice Gottlieb flipper button. So what we end up with, if we put the playfield down...
Not going to use that pointer,
huh? Yeah, I'll stick it in my nose. Okay,
well,
if you...
you can have that, Ken.
Yeah, I'm sure you want us back now. Okay, what you end up with is if you want to play the game as it originally was, you can go ahead and do it. But most people find it a lot easier to play it like this. And that way you can do a ball save by going left and right. And if you want to go back to the original, press the credit button a second time. That's kind of a neat feature. Now, I had not played this game since I was a kid. My main complaint when I was a kid was that the flippers didn't work well, so I had no idea what the game was really about. When I actually got this one rebuilt, got a good set of flippers on it, I decided I really liked the game. If you look, you've got 4 colored roll-unders. Roll-unders were a neat feature I think they ought to bring back. Each one is a color, white, purple, yellow, and green. And if you get all 4 of them... What are we doing wrong here? Oh, I gotta score some points. What am I doing wrong? Why aren't they working? My own games don't work.
Taking the balls out have something to do with it?
Yeah, it might have something to do with it. Huh, that's weird.
Reset.
Yeah, we'll try a reset. There we go. It didn't like something. Anyways, you got these 4 color groups, green, yellow, purple, and white. And if you get all 4 of them, they reset, and they add to this little light tree down here. So if I get it again, it'll light for special. And then if I get it a 3rd time, it'll light for double special. If I get it a 4th time, it'll light for triple special. Now, if I want to take a sacrifice and go down the middle by holding in both flipper buttons, that'll mean that the ball will go down here, and I'll win 3 free games for taking a sacrifice. This was an interesting feature. I really like this. Anytime you can win 3 specials at once, that's good. Also, you've got, on most games, the object seems to be to get the ball to the top or to shoot something up. Most of the games seem to be very vertical. This game with these roll-unders, actually, the whole point of the game is to keep the ball going like this, back and forth, side to side. Which I found was kind of a neat thing. I just won one on points. Also, you've got one of these 3 rollovers on the side is always lit. Whichever bumper happens to be lit, the corresponding colored rollover is lit. So if you get it up here, you get 120 points, which is a fairly big prize for a game that's sold. I really like this game. I like the art on it. It's got a nice back glass. It's got this ugly sign I put on here. The cabinet's a little rough. It's got a great back glass. It's got some good art on the playfield. You got all kinds of white folks hanging around the dock waiting for the the boat to come in so they can go singing and dancing. Yeehaw!
Happy white folks.
Yeah, they're all happy. Look at that. And they all have their mouths open. What the hell's going on here? But this is what you call a naughty nautical game. I like it a lot. I'd give it a good rating. I wouldn't say it was great, but I'd definitely say it's a good game. And if you get one, you should definitely think about rewiring them flippers. There it is, D. Gottlieb and Company. Now that they're out of business. Okay, let's move on. Enough of this. Time to do another game. We've got Big Casino. This one's from July of '61. The one we just looked at was from March of '61. It's got pretty neat back glass. And if you're into Gottlieb history, you can look somewhere in the glass and, oh, sure enough, there it is right there. There's a character from another Gottlieb game right there. That's Daisy Mae from 1956, and there's Squarehead, and I'll be damned, Daisy Mae is playing grab-ass on Squarehead. When we were a kid, we couldn't believe that. I played this game extensively as a kid. This is actually the fifth machine I've owned. No, the third machine I've owned. I bought it back in like '73. The glass was in this bad a condition back then. I did not allow it to get that wrecked. Well, basically what you got is a king and a bunch of his beautiful Parker babes hanging around playing cards. And the game they're playing is called Big Casino, which is actually a card game. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that they're in a casino and he happens to be big or anything like that. But what you've got is just basically 5 cards. It's a real simple 5-card game. And again, we've got the score to beat up here. And another interesting feature is what us pinheads call a holdover feature. Now, if you see, there's a bunch of arrows here along the bottom of Big Casino, and these hold over from game to game. So if you can come up to the machine, we used to do this when we were kids, if the arrow's over here, it's getting ready to pay off. When you get to the O, you win 3 free games. So every time you get a special lit, it advances the arrow 1 position. It's also got a neat feature on it called double match number. If you get 1, 2, 3 on the playfield at the end of the game, instead of getting 1 match number, you'll actually get 6 and 1, or 7 and 2, or 8 and 3. You get 2 match numbers, 5 numbers apart. That doubles your chances of winning from 10% to 20%. Yeah, look at that. More of these damn blondes. We were just commenting that every time you look at a pinball machine, it always seems to be blondes and redheads. You see very few albinos or brunettes. But yeah, we had the theory that maybe it's because the reds and the yellows actually show the light better. But yeah, that's what you do when you're a king, is kind of hang out and play cards with chicks. We're going to start the game up. Provided it will start. What am I doing? Oh, there we go. Basically what you've got is you've got 5 card rollovers. The jack, the 10, the queen, the king, and the ace is in the middle. You have this other rollover up here, which will spot one of the 5 cards at random. You'll see that moves around. And you've got on green bumpers and on yellow bumpers. And you've got 1, 2, and 3 down at the bottom. If you get 1, 2, and 3, it will light double match number at the end of the game, which is handy. It'll also give you 200 points for completing the sequence. If you look up here, you can see that hitting this when it's lit for queen will give you the queen in the back glass. And if you can get all 5 cards, this is where the payoff comes on this game. If you can get all those 5 cards lit back there, where's my key? Whoa! It automatically gives you 1 free game for lighting all 5 cards. It advances your Big Casino arrow 1 position over. So instead of being on the S, I'm now on the I. And here's where it really gets fun. Now, all card rollovers special when lit. And when I was a kid, that used to be the greatest thing, is to get that, then every single time you hit a rollover, it's a free game. If you could get that done, you could get it up to 15 games. I just did it. I got it up to 15 games. That was your goal. when you were a kid is to get the Gottlieb meter up to 15 where it stopped. This game is kind of an all or nothing game. You either win really big, you win lots and lots of games, or because this bottom area is so wide, you win nothing. If you look, there's no side drains on this game, but there is this huge area down here where you can lose here, you can lose here, here, here. It really sucks down the balls here at the bottom because it's so damn big. One thing I did to change that, if you'll notice, this bottom post has a regular size tire on it, and this upper post has what we call a pregnant tire. If you look, it looks like it's extra fat. That's a part that only Hap Controls Company in Illinois makes. It's considerably larger, and what you can do is use that to tighten up your drains. I use them all over the place. Unfortunately, they don't make them in white anymore. They only make them in black.
The white one?
Well, these are ones that I had left over. I hoarded these. I have a whole bunch of these because I hoarded them. But what that does is, with this extra pregnant rubber, you get a chance to use your wrist a little and shake the ball like this. It'll hit these extra juicy rubbers and go flying back out to your flipper, where you can then shoot it away like that. Another thing you'll notice is that I put the new flippers on here. That's a new flipper that Donald Murphy in Chicago made, and he sells them through Steve Young at the Pinball Resource. You should really consider putting some new parts like new flippers on your games now while they're available. If you look at the plastic on that, it's nice and white, and the hot stamp is still consistently colored in. I would recommend buying some of these flippers while they're available. It's also a good idea to support parts people like Don Murphy, who spent a lot of money to go ahead and make these parts, and he needs to get some return on his investment. There it is again, a product of D. Gottlieb and Company. We used to call this game Big Albino, just because we thought albino was a funny word. But yeah, this is a particular favorite of mine. When I was a kid, I thought it was a little tough to play, but now I begin to appreciate it more and more as being a real shooter's game. If you get a chance to get one of these, I would recommend it. They only made 1,500 of them. I really enjoyed it. Anytime you can get a game lit, a special lit, and just clean up on free games, this is a good thing. Now what we're going to do, we're going to drain all 5 balls. Now you'll see that I got 2 match numbers. I got the 2 and the 8. That shouldn't go on there anyways. So I've got twice as many chances to win. If I can get my 1, 2, 3, I get double match number. They only did this on a couple games. I think what happened was paying out 20% on a match number made the operators mad because the kids won too much. I really enjoyed this game. I recommend it. I got my original scorecards on it. See, I took care of this game when I bought it as a kid. You can see I got my nice original white scorecards. They haven't been all beat up and soaked in Coca-Cola and stuff. One thing I did do was upgrade it to nickel-plated legs. I think the nickel-plated legs look too nice, so I just put those in wherever I can. Yeah, I enjoyed this game. Next game we got is right over here.
Skipping?
We're skipping over here because this is the replay version. This is Gottlieb's Royal Guard. It's 1968, January of 1968. All the other pinball manufacturers, the Bally games and the Williams games of this era, all had that ridiculously ugly cubist art. We used to call it "the bitches with the pointy elbows" when we were kids. We couldn't understand why anybody would make an ugly pinball machine like this. This is still the cartoony art. This is Art Stenholm, who took over for Roy Parker when he retired. It still looks like a pinball machine. You still have people that are recognizable as people. You don't have any funny things going in the background here. Well, the only thing you can say about this glass is that it is politically incorrect. You got a guy with a reefer right there. Kind of wondering about him.
He look kind of sleepy.
Yeah. It's been blowing a little too much of the wacky weed. But yeah, this is also features a Gottlieb exclusive a snap target. If you look, every time the motor turns, this target snaps back and forth. Now this is kind of a neat feature because if you look, you have two color groups, one called lights bumpers, one called lights targets. Now if you can get all of these, you light the special. And it looks easy to do, but the problem is when you're busy playing, you're trying to lob the ball up here and there, you have to figure out whether the yellow lines up with the yellow and whether it's lit. It actually takes some concentration to figure out which one of these is lit and which one is actually lined up for a target. I always liked this feature. It was used originally on a Gottlieb game called Mayfair from about a year and a half earlier. They reused it on this game. If you can get the targets lit up here, these are worth 100 points each, which in this game is big points. And the idea is to get these targets lit, and then lob it up in here, let the ball bounce around, score you a whole bunch of hundreds. Now in this game you only need 3,600 points per game, so if you can send it up here into this area and score a whole bunch of points, you're doing well. Another thing, if you look under here, I've doubled the amount of bulbs that are behind these scorecards. Originally there was one bulb in there. I don't know if that's freaking your camera out there.
No, it's fine.
Ah, okay. Well, you can see there's two bulbs there instead of one. And also the bulbs have dropped down about 1/4 of an inch. I used a different socket, so they're not as high. What this does is gives you a lot more light up here in this area where it's usually pretty dark. And in order to keep the heat from building up and warping this plastic, I used a different socket and dropped both bulbs down about 1/4 inch. When I rebuild a game, I really want it to look nice. And if I put this game out somewhere and one of these bulbs, this is one of my complaints about pinball when I was a kid, is if a bulb goes out, the game gets too dark. This way, if one of these two bulbs go out, I'm just back to my original illumination level, and I'm not going to be in the dark about anything. Another thing that I've done on this game, if you look at these target lights, is at the end of the game, we'll get to game over, these lights turn off. Also, all the bumper lights turn off. Not only does that save electricity and saves your power bill, it also keeps your bulbs working longer because they're not on 24 hours a day, burning out. The only time you really need to see any of these is when you're playing the game. It also keeps your plywood cooler. If you look, these are just little plastic lenses that are set in the plywood. Now, because there's a light bulb underneath this lens, that causes the wood around the lens to heat up. And what will happen is it'll heat up during the day like that, and then when you turn the game off, it'll contract like that. And over a period of a week, it'll go like this. That's where these long vertical cracks come from. One of the places that causes the vertical cracks is the heating and cooling and contracting and uncontracting of the wood. And if you turn those off at the end of the game, it doesn't build up that heat, and the plywood doesn't have a chance to expand and contract like that. Another thing I've put in here, if you look right here, is that fan target looks real nice. That's not the original fan target. That's the original fan target with a sticker on it. Steve Young made some stickers that fit over Gottlieb fan targets. They're made out of heavy-duty Mylar, and they're like printed in and then covered up with another sheet of something plastic. So when the ball hits it and hits it and hits it, you're not going to have that line that formed across the original target and was real ugly. Again, I recommend that collectors support people like Steve Young and Donald Murphy that are making parts, because the more you buy, the more other parts they will make. Another thing you should notice are these posts are nice and white. I went out and bought 10,000 of these posts, and every game that I rebuild, I put nice white posts on them. So a lot of times the Gottlieb games have been in the sun, and these posts turn yellow. That's something you should also consider doing. And of course, in the first tape, I explained how I take the original Gottlieb fasteners off and replace them with machine screws and elastic nuts. That way, none of these posts will ever work loose and cause this plastic to bend up like that. That's bad. This is one of the Gottlieb games where the ball and play indicator was down here at the bottom. I always kind of liked that. I always thought that was a neat feature. You can't see the numbers too well because of the light in here. During the day we have real bright light back here. But I was like, oh, I matched.
Yow.
I matched 0. Another thing I've done that I would recommend anybody that has a Gottlieb game from this era that has these little red aluminum posts, you can get this rubber, this new white spongy rubber. Originally they had a black or a brown rubber on there that wasn't as spongy. And the ball really bounces around down in here in the bottom, and that's a good thing on a game where you have a chance of shaking it out of the bottom. I've actually given it a good bounce off of here, and it's come flying all the way back out and back into play. Again, Steve Young at Pinball Resource has these. So does Steve Engel at Mayfair. Has these white posts, but you have to specify that you want the white ones, the white rubbers, instead of the brown or the black, which are less spongy. I really like this game. Again, it's a personal favorite, so I guess I shouldn't make too many judgments about it. It's got a good special. I've got to have a special. I don't like multiplayer games because they don't have special. Now I lit. Oh, I got one more. Now, every time I hit that fan target, I get a free game. And that, to me, was always such a neat sound, just being able to hear that. Oh, I maxed it out. I got the maximum games again.
9?
Yeah, this one's tied off at 9. There was a limit feature. The operator could limit the amount of games that you could win. Look at that, junior Nazis marching in uniform. Another problem that you're going to see with every single one of these games is that the red, for some reason the red on 60s and 70s Gottlieb games, no matter what you did, ended up flaking.
Bad paint.
Yeah, it's bad paint. For some reason the red just likes to let go. Which brings us to our next game, which is right next door. What? Wait a minute, you say. It's the same game. It's Gottlieb's Royal Guard. Except, no, it's not the same game. It's Palace Guard, the Adaball version. The only problem is I didn't have a Palace Guard glass. I had another Royal Guard glass. Now, since then, Joe Grenick in Georgia has found me a Palace Guard glass. If you looked at the first tape in this series, you remember that we explained the difference between a replay game, which was for most states, and then the Adaball game, which was for states where winning free games was illegal. Immediately it comes to mind New York State and the state of Wisconsin. You couldn't win free games. So they'd made a complete series of different games for those states. You'll notice there's no credit meter there. All that is just a blank. A big hole. She's got a hole in her butt.
Yeah.
Cool. And what you've got is, instead of these match numbers down here, these would be the ball and play numbers. But because this glass didn't, the ball and play numbers actually start out here and end out here, so they didn't line up. So instead of using this or scraping it off and ruining this nice glass, I decided to build this little header thing up here. And what that is an old hunk of wood with a bunch of light bulbs in it that
I would have never guessed.
That counts up and counts down your balls. So when you start a game, it starts you out with 5 balls, and of course, like all other Adaballs, you're counting backwards. As soon as I get the Palace Guard glass from Joe Grenick, I'll put the glass in here and move these lights back down here where they belong. That's just a temporary thing I kind of schlepped in there. If you look at this one, this is the only Royal Guard glass I've got that doesn't have flaking on the reds.
Cool.
And
Theory?
No, it was a new one that I got from Mayfair Amusement in New York, Steve Urkel. He actually had some new ones when he got all that glass from Ad Posters. So I have a brand new glass in here, and because the temperature control in this building is so good, I doubt that at any point it will get any worse. I think I will have a permanent nice glass on this one. If you look down here, you can see minor changes in the art between the replay version and the Adaball version. If you look here, the 50 points is quite large, and over here on this one, it's small. Some other changes. On this one, the 50 points and move targets, and then you look over at the replay version, it says 50 points and special when lit. Now, of course, on an add-a-ball game, you can't have a special because free games are illegal. So what they did was they either called it a wow or an added ball or something like that. The game rules are also kind of different on this one. If you get all 4 targets, you win an automatic free ball. Now see, all I've got left is that red guy. I'm going to hit the red guy. It's going to give me a free ball. Except it didn't. Oh, I got a green one left. There we go. If you get all 4 of them, you win a free ball, which I think is kind of neat. It gives you a real selectivity. If you're shooting off of this flipper and you see that you got 2 targets left, you want to delay your shot a little bit so you only hit the yellow and green. It's really kind of neat. And also, if you get A, B, C, D, and E, you win another free ball. So basically, between winning free balls on points and winning free balls on the targets and winning free balls on the A, B, C, and D, you can see back up here, we just won ourselves all the way up to 8 balls. Wow. So I can play forever. It's a neat little game. I kind of am developing the theory that add-a-balls are more fun to play if you don't have to pay money, because it gives you a challenge of continuing your game by getting a lot of extra balls, as opposed to a replay where you have to start a whole new game. The idea on an add-a-ball game is just to keep getting more and more score by getting more and more balls. Unfortunately, when I was a kid, I wasn't playing free. I didn't have this big barn full of pinballs, so I always liked the replay games better. 90% of the games we used to run into in Michigan were replay games. Very seldom would we find an add-a-ball, and we always liked winning free games because we'd put our dime in, and damn it, we wanted to beg, borrow, steal, or cheat until we got a whole bunch of free games. One more weird thing about Royal Guard and Palace Guard. We talked in the first tape about how model numbers can give you a hint as far as what was going on in the manufacturing process. If you look at this, this is game number 224. Now, the game right after this, I looked it up, was game number 248. So what that indicates is that they had this game designed right after number 222. They went to, and they did Royal Guard and Palace Guard, which are 223 and 224. Then they let the design sit on the shelf for a while, and then when they had a hole in production or something, or maybe they decided they wanted to add some features onto it. That shows that this game was not immediately just born as an idea and made into a game. It sat around for about a year and a half before they actually built it. Game number 220 was Mayfair. Mayfair also featured the snap target. So I think what they did was they said, well, we're tooling up to make this snap target. Let's go ahead and make 2 games off it. We'll make the Mayfair, and then we'll make another game so that we can spread the tooling cost over 2 machines. It's always a good idea to pay attention to obscure little things like model numbers. This is also a fairly successful game for Gottlieb. They built 3,000 of these. They built 625 of the add-a-ball version for New York and Wisconsin. They built 4,000 of another game called Elite Guard, and they sent all 4,000 of them to Italy. At the time, Italy was a very, very big market for pinballs, and Gottlieb was the only person selling pinballs there. So what you get is a case of the tail wagging the dog. You would have Italy would routinely have more machines built for it than the rest of the world. Kill the Bob, kill the Bob. Get off of my games, you damn cat.
You said dog.
Dog? Is he a dog?
Wagging the dog, tail wagging the dog.
Tail wagging the dog, and then the cat jumps up on it. Okay, we're going to take a little break and line up some more games to show you. We'll be back in a minute. Yeah, that Arnold guy, he's the coolest guy in the world, man. Oh, we're on. Okay. This is the address. You have to send me $6. I'm spending a lot of my own time on this, and all I ask is that people help me pay for the tape and the postage. Also, if you've got any comments, any ideas, if you want to see a lot more different games, a little less in depth, If I left anything out, please point it out to me. Also, if you got some video tidbits, if you remember on the second tape, yeah, I'll burp up a video tidbit for you. If you got any old videotapes featuring pinballs, go ahead and send them along. If you remember on the last tape, we had the beer commercial from the 50s featuring the pinball machine. That was kind of neat. So yeah, go ahead, send in your stuff. That's the address. If you got any cool pinball stuff, I'll put it on the next tape. This is something that many collectors who collect the flyers, I don't believe in collecting flyers myself.
Then what are these doing here?
Well, I happen to have just about everything simply because I've come across it over the years. Most people don't realize that Bally actually made 2 flyers for each game. They made a color flyer, which they distributed to all their distributors, who then put them in magazine racks out in the lobby, so that if an operator showed up and wanted a picture of what he was considering buying, he'd have one. They also made a black and white flyer with completely different art that they would give out as publicity photos or to magazines, or they'd run as advertisements in the trade papers. I recently came across, through a kind of convoluted deal, an almost complete set of the 1970s black and white flyers. So if anybody wants a nearly complete set of the Bally black and white flyer, send me a couple bucks to cover my photocopying and my postage, and I'll go ahead and send you whatever I have. If you'll notice here, the whole top of this one is one big box, and this one they've shrunken the box down a little. This 4-player is on an angle, this one is straight. This one does not say see other side for featured gram, it says Bally Manufacturing at the bottom. This one was made to be one page, one-sided. This one was made to be 2-sided with the feature gram on the back.
Cool.
So if you're a flyer collector and you want a nearly complete set of 1970s Gottlieb black and white flyers, send me a couple bucks to cover my postage and my photocopying costs, and I'll send you whatever I've got. Now, there, I've given you something new to collect, you anal retentive little turds. Time to what do they call it? What do they call it on the internet when you diss somebody?
Flame.
They're flaming. I'm going to spam you and flame you. These 2 games here belong to another collector, a guy in LA who shall remain nameless, besides the fact that he's having fantasies and he's just a fabulous guy. This is one of the games he's selling for people for their homes, and I don't mean to be a nitpicker. He sent all this metalwork out to be chromed. If you look at it, it's got this incredible mirrored finish on it, but then if you look real close, he didn't even bother to pick the dents out of it. I mean, it's still dented underneath the chrome.
Boy, are you picky.
I'm picky, and look at this, look at this. He nickel-plated this whole ball shooter assembly, and then he didn't even spend a quarter for a new spring. The spring is all rusty.
Hey, a quarter's of play.
Well, yeah, but, you know, it's like Bush League. Another complaint, one more nitpicky complaint, is you can see his posts are all old and yellow. If it was me, I would have spent, you know, a few extra cents and put new posts on it. So I have dissed you, flamed you, spammed you, and all that other stuff. But see, this is what collectors do. They get together and they nitpick each other's work. This is a game from the 60s called Mibs. And Mibs is apparently a marble game that kids used to play. I've got a Mibs. We'll cover mine in some other tape. If you'll notice, he repainted the cabinet, and he has the original speckled paint. That's available in a can now. You can actually get the speckled paint in a can.
Wow.
So if you repaint your games, you can put the speckling back on it. Also, if you look here, this isn't paint, this is a sticker. They actually have these new stickers that you can make on a vinyl cutting machine, and you can put them on there. You have to put them on with a heat gun or a hair dryer so that the glue actually melts and becomes part of the wood. If you look at the sides here, it's all done with vinyl stickers. I haven't decided whether that's good or bad yet. I haven't had much experience with it. Apparently this mystery guy in LA, who really has a garden full of herbs, he's sold on this idea, and he uses it for just about everything. I don't know yet. The jury's still out on that one for me. Okay, enough about talking about other people's games. Let's wander over here. Let's look at a Gottlieb game. This one I would have to put in the great category. This is a great game. It's a remake of another game called Lawman, Sheriff, or if you were in Italy, Texas Ranger. Only it's a single-player version. You can see instead of having 2 or 4 players, you only have the 1 player. And obviously the art has been changed from a Wild West theme on Sheriff and Lawman to babes swimming around. Look at this, they're all chasing each other. It's some kind of a underwater orgy.
Woohoo!
And you've got, of course, the tiny purple fishes that Jimi Hendrix was into. And you got, a little condo development over here apparently going on. It's, of course, a Gordon Morrison art. I always thought that there was a little too much green in here, that they should have made it a little busier. But it's a good-looking glass. The main thing you like this game for, though, is this playfield setup. This is a classic Ed Krinsky playfield setup. You have a bank of 10 targets over here, and you've got the infamous Lawman Sheriff maze over here. Now, they first used this on Lawman and Sheriff, and they reused it a couple times after that. The idea is that you're supposed to shoot it off of this flipper here, up here, into here. Now you'll notice I put a little stainless steel guide there because the original plastic piece had broken off. Then you're supposed to go up into this maze, and if you hit a left rollover, it'll bounce off this cushion and either go out, or if you give it a little shake with your wrist, it'll bounce off here, then you'll get the 2, then you'll get the 3, and then you'll get the 4. So everything is all designed so that it works in line like this, down this way. We better... Okay, and another good thing about this game is the fact that you got the bank of 10 targets. Now,
That looks like a school of fish.
it is a school of fish. It's done that way on purpose. We have white ones and we have blue ones. And if you hit a white one, it gives you 500. If you hit a blue one, it gives you 500. If you hit white and blue at the same time, it gives you 5,000.
Whoa!
So you're looking at 10 times your benefit if you can hit them 2 at a time. If you get them all down, you get that huge reset chunk. All the targets pop back up. Now, this feature works in conjunction with the advance feature. If you can get your advance, here we are on 7, if you can get it to 8, and then all the way up to 9, you will light this for special. And then again, we're back to the idea that special is the thing that every pinball player wants. Now, if you can get all these targets down, you win a free game. And you get that knocking noise. So you get 2 purposes of the game. You want to knock these down only in pairs. So if you have one there, you ruined the ability to make these 2 into pairs. You have to try to hit them only. It's a hard shot, actually, to get them both at once and get the 5,000s. You also want to get as many advances as you can, because if you get all the advances, then you get the special for getting all the targets down. It also gives you a kind of a consolation special over here, which is 1,000 or special when lit for going out that way. You also have targets on and targets off. Now, not only do you have a special on here, a special on the drain, you also have 2 specials.
Sounds like a special game.
It's a great game. It's another one of those games where you can just keep lighting things and wailing on it. But the game is clever. It keeps moving around which of the 3 are lit for special, just so it's messes with your mind. This game originally, when it was Lawman, was designed by Ed Krinsky, the game designer at Gottlieb. Now, for years and years and years, there was only one guy that designed games. Now, starting right around this point, Wayne Nyens was still at Gottlieb. He was the director of engineering. Ed Krinsky was the game designer, but they actually started to hire other people. This game was actually given over to another employee called Jeff Brenner, a guy who's been here several times and given me many inside stories about what it was like to work at Gottlieb in the 70s. He kept bugging Wayne Nyens to go ahead and let him design a game. Let me design a game, let me design a game. No, that's Eddie's job. You can't do that, that's Eddie's job. And then there was also the aggravating factor that Jeff Brenner was a hippie and Wayne Nyens hated long hairs. But eventually, he pestered him enough and enough and enough, and he said, okay, you can take that Lawman game and redesign it as a single player. So that was Jeff Brenner's first game design. Steve Kirk was also working at Gottlieb at the time, and he did a couple remakes like that. But if you look down here, being a hippie, Jeff Brenner would do little touches like on the original Lawman, this plastic would stop here, and he thought, ooh, wouldn't it be psychedelic and groovy? That was almost his exact words. When he told me about this, he said, wouldn't it be neat if we could make this come out like this? And of course, the powers that be had a shit fit about it.
It looks sloppy.
Well, yeah, it wasn't Gottlieb. I mean, Gottlieb has always done this way, and this is the way we're going to do it, damn it. So he had some frustration there. I haven't had Wayne Nyan's side of the story yet, and Ed Krinsky has turned into some kind of a recluse who doesn't want to talk to anybody, so we may never know the rest of the story. But I think it's kind of interesting that they actually started to loosen up a little bit at that point. If you remember on Pro Football, they actually had, in the middle of Pro Football, they had 4 purple posts. And Jeff Brenner said there was a huge fight over the fact that they were using non-white posts for the first time in years. That gives you a little peek inside of what was happening at Gottlieb at the time. Getting back to this game, I really like it. It's a great game. You've got good scoring. Oh, there's a manufacturer's certificate. Now that promises the local sheriff that no one will ever gamble on this machine. And if you believe in that, I got some nice land in Nevada to sell you. But yeah, this is a good game. It's got a very colorful cabinet. Again, you got little turd sharks here. Any fish that's brown is, of course, a turd shark. And another thing I've done is if you look on the front doors, all the games now have 3 chutes, quarter, quarter, and dollar. That way, originally it might have been nickel, dime, quarter, or quarter, quarter, quarter. Now it's quarter, quarter, dollar. Any day now, the government is going to give us a dollar coin that works. And here's a hint for you collectors. If you ever get these Susan B. Anthony coin mechs, like this, they say SBA on them, and they have an exceptionally large cradle right here, don't throw them out, save them. Because when the new dollar coin comes out, it's going to be exactly the size of the Susan B. Anthony dollar.
No way.
How do we know this?
How do you know that?
Because the government has given away all the other coins, available coin sizes. In the 70s, when arcades were opening up, arcade owners made a deal with the Treasury Department, and the coin minting companies made a deal with the Treasury Department that they could use certain size coins that were slightly larger or slightly smaller than existing coins. That's why you have tokens that are either larger than a quarter or smaller than a quarter. And what this has done is just like the TV frequency, they've divided everything up, and they've already given away all the sizes except the quarter size and the Susan B. Anthony dollar size. So if you get Susan B. Anthony mechs, hold on to them. Eventually you can use them for a dollar coin mech. But enough of this new stuff. We want to be some old fools, rocking in the old school. It's time to flash back, way back into time. We're going back to January of 1948. Woo! Lady Robin Hood. She's a fox in a box.
Yow!
You can see her. This is one of the new reproduction glasses that Herb Silvers of Fabulous Fantasies has done. You can see it looks real nice. The mirroring is nice. The colors are perfect. The details are nice. Originally, my glass was quite shabby on this game. Again, it's Roy Parker art. He always specialized in having babes. And if we push in the coin chute, we can see that the playfield is almost an exact duplicate of Humpty Dumpty, which was the first flipper game. And quite coincidentally, this is the second flipper game. Both Humpty Dumpty and Lady Robin Hood were very high production games. You can find quite a few of them around. The factory said that they made 6,400 Humpty Dumptys. I'm guesstimating that they did 4,000 or 5,000 of Lady Robin Hood. Again, the factory isn't giving out figures. If you look here, what you've got are 6 flippers, or as they called them, flipper bumpers, up the left side, and the same 6 up the right side. You got to remember what a revolution this was for both players and operators. Before this, all you had was a ball that would start at the top and just kind of work its way down to the bottom It was very boring. All of a sudden, by putting these flippers on here, you had a way for the player to maneuver the ball back up towards the top of the field, or when something was lit, he could aim right for that bumper and hit it. Now the flippers weren't very powerful back then. You're probably used to the big flippers with lots of power. The coils were smaller. Also, again, you had one coil that would drive 3 flippers, so you would have a lot of wasted energy in all the linkages and stuff. And another thing that most collectors don't realize is originally this plastic part that we know as a flipper was a playfield island, much like these little guys here. It was a stock part that they happened to have sitting around. All they did was just fashion a metal bat arrangement underneath and reused an existing part. The problem with that was that originally this game had balls that were a 1/16 of an inch larger than the current size balls. Originally this game had balls that were 1 inch and 1/8 instead of 1 inch and 1/16. So this particular plastic piece was designed for a larger ball. And as you can see, with just one rubber ring on there, it's cutting the ball way high on the ball and you're not getting very good bounce. So when they went to a smaller size ball sometime in the 50s, we haven't exactly figured out where, they did a quick engineering fix, putting a second rubber ring on there, and now with a modern size ball you're getting it a fairly good bounce out of it because it's cutting it just above the middle of the ball. That's why you have 2 rings on a flipper, except for the new flat top flippers they went to in '68, which were actually designed to use this new modern size ball. So that's a little trivia tidbit you might not understand about why there's 2 flippers, 2 rings on a flipper. If you look, you'll notice that all the plastics have what they call modeling, or what do they call that stuff? Marbling on it. If you look at the blue, they have the little white swirls in there. Now that kind of makes it look Art Deco.
Ooh.
I was talking to Steve Young at the last Pinball Expo, and I asked him, when are you going to reproduce the old style marbled plastics? And he said, he might be full of shit. About half the time he's totally full of shit. But he said that apparently OSHA says there's something wrong with the fumes that are given off when you mix 2 plastics like this together.
Yeah.
And he says that's why they don't make the marbled plastics. But I think it really makes the game look neat. Kind of stripy like Bob the Cat. This one also has something that Humpty Dumpty doesn't. It's got this bumper here. If you hit it, it flashes real bright. And if you look in the back, there's also an area around the bullseye that flashes. Ooh, and in a dark room, this game is just beautiful. When this is going like this, and you can see the scores are moving up. What this does is adds to a bonus section, which is right down here. And if you can get your bonus up, it adds up, and you get a whole bunch of points before you lose your ball. Another neat feature on this, if you spell targets, T-A-R-G-E-T-S, on the back glass, you'll notice that I just spelled target. Now, this is lit for special. Every single bonus that you can get on this center hole, right now I'm up to 40,000 or 4 bonuses. That means that I'm going to get 4 free games if I hit it in this hole. Whoa! Even back in the 40s, that would make...
You could dust off the top of it.
I know. There's actually guns mounted inside these games that they use to make the knocking noise. This is a great game. No, I'm not going to say it's a great game. It's a good game. For a modern player, they're going to get a little bored with the backwards flippers. The art is definitely great, though. And if you look, the original oak trim, if you want to get fancy about it, you can go ahead, sand off your original oak trim, and by using a little darker stain, you can bring up the grain a little bit more. You can make your game look really fantastic, even though at the time this wood wasn't very sensational. You can look at this leg here, that's all been redone. And again, by using a little darker stain, you can bring up that grain, make it look real nice like that. And of course, don't be a cheap Charlie. Spend an extra 50 cents to $1 and get yourself some new feet. I can't believe how many collectors use the same old feet. Not only will it rip up your carpet, it really looks Bush League. But yeah, this is Lady Robin Hood. It's the second flipper game. It's from January of 1948. If you get a chance to pick one up, I would recommend having one of what they call the fairy tale series, which are all these games with fairy tale themes: Cinderella, Lady Robin Hood, Humpty Dumpty. It's a nice addition to a game room collection. This one has been converted to a quarter. Originally there was a nickel chute in there. This one's got a quarter chute. Yeah, I recommend it. Good game. Now we're going to get out of the 40s. We're going to jump all the way up here to the 80s and the 90s. Whoa, this is a new one. This is a 1993 game. This is Gladiators. Now, originally my Gottlieb cutoff point was 1983. I wasn't going to collect any games after 83. But since Gottlieb has gone out of business, I no longer have a moving target that I have to aim at. My hesitation to go past 1983 was based on the fact that every month they're going to make another game, which I'm going to be forced to collect. But now that they're out of business, there's a definite end to everything, and I could contemplate getting the rest of the games. So I'm starting to fill in the games between 83 and 97 that I don't have yet. Hey kid, stop playing that game. This is a Ray Tanzer game. It's not a John Norris game. I'm a John Norris fan. It's got pretty much Babes in Space as an artwork theme. And like all new games, it's got lots of ramps and things. It's got lots of strange noises, rock music, and it's got a thing that moves back and forth. Oh, it's shiny. Okay. Shut up. Okay. It was making too much noise. Also, this has got a playfield mylar on it, so it's causing our camera a bit of a hard time. A couple neat things about this game is the Gottlieb kicking targets right here. I really think these are neat. Instead of having a rubber ring, you actually have a target that's got a mechanism that kicks the ball away like that. So you can have the same kind of oomph that you do from a regular kicking rubber in a lot less space. So if a designer wants to put a strange gizmo here and still have the kick of a kicking rubber, he just puts one of these targets in here. Gottlieb was the only company that used those. It's also got a lot of ramps. The ramps kind of flow together. This ramp will feed it around here, which feeds it to this flipper. And then this flipper can shoot it up there, which brings it back down to this flipper. And then you got other ramps that loop it around up in here. You got some bumpers hidden up in here.
That's pretty complicated.
All the new games are like this. If you want a simple game, you want to play something from the 60s or the 70s, kids today, with their hair and their music, boy, they want this fancy stuff. Another bad thing about this game, unfortunately, are these flippers, these new Gottlieb flippers. I can't say enough bad things about the new Gottlieb flipper. Let me open this game up here. For years and years and years, Gottlieb had a fatter flipper. That was called the Fat Boy. This is called the Slim Boy flipper. If you look at this, it's the same exact size frame that the old flipper used, and several of the old parts have been reused. This one, and this one immediately popped to mind. But then they put a bigger coil on the same size frame, and they made the stroke longer, so you can see this linkage here is kind of bent over, like the Exorcist. This piece here was just press fit on there. That's constantly breaking off, which causes you to melt your coils. And you only have one bearing, where on the old flipper you had two bearings. This has a tendency to wear this bearing out, this white piece in here, and go crooked. It's a horrible design. It's no wonder that Gottlieb went out of business. I hate them. The rest of the mechanisms, though, like these kicking mechanisms and these drop targets, they're still...
Where's the kicker?
Here's a kicker mechanism here. They're still made out of real thick metal. If you look at the thickness of that bracket and compare it to a similar Williams bracket, you all of a sudden realize how chintzy Williams parts are. Very few problems with these cracking and breaking. A lot of times the Williams parts will just snap in half right here where all the force comes around the corner. Real heavy-duty Gottlieb target mechanisms. You've got real nice brackets. You got this nice transformer assembly down here. It's got a nice cover on it.
Danger.
And you've got a vibrating motor. Ooh.
Cool.
Now,
Can I sit on it?
Yes, you can sit on it if you like. Williams started this with their Earthshaker game, and all the other manufacturers had to copy it. Basically what it does is at a random point during the game, it shakes the whole cabinet so you think you're in an earthquake or a shitstorm or something like that. Another weird thing is I had a collector come through here who was in town for a trade show, and he said, "Oh, you'll never guess what I have in my suitcase." He said, "I have Japanese scorecards for your game." So if you look here, here's the original Gladiator cards, and here's a set of Japanese cards. I never even knew they made those. So apparently the distributor in Japan had these printed up or something. So there's that, and there's that. You can always tell a Gottlieb card because they look just plain and simple and basic, like they were done on an old-style type press. And I think somebody else did this because it's all fancy. It probably came off a computer.
Hi.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, though, Gottlieb is out of business, so we may never know. Gladiators, I haven't played it enough to form an opinion on whether it's a good game, a bad game. This one just came in, and I did not do the rebuilding on it. Nick did. So I don't have really any opinion on this. There it is. Premier Technology. Oh, and if you run into any of the last of the Gottlieb games, you'll notice that the Playfield Mylar, there's a serial number there, you'll notice that this Playfield Mylar right here always stops short of where the flippers are. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, right there. That line right there.
That's cheap.
Well, that's very cheap. Another problem is that just before Gottlieb went out of business, a certain high-level person at Gottlieb, Gil Pollock, who shall remain nameless, decided that it would be a good idea to save a little bit of money by buying a cheaper grade of steel ball. Now, I got this directly from somebody at Gottlieb. One of the things that you can do to make a pinball better is heat treat it. This makes, they get it real hot, and then they throw it in a pool of water, and it actually hardens itself. This, of course, costs a little more, and they thought they would save some money by using unheat treated balls. Unfortunately, what that does is causes the ball to go flat, and what you'll end up with is a pinball that actually looks like a soccer ball. You'll have millions of little sides on it. This is actually a good ball. This isn't one that's gone flat.
Ew.
If you get one of the last 6 or 7 Gottlieb games, no one could give me an exact point when they started using the reject ball bearings. You should change the balls. I saw a Mario Andretti that had been on location for about 30 days, and everything from this sticker on down was completely bare wood because this ball was acting as a piece of sandpaper and would just rub all of that off of there with its little edges.
Hey, but we save money.
Oh yeah, you save a lot of money. That was how GM used to make cars in the 70s. But yeah, enough of my bitching. We're going to stop and get another game ready. We'll be back in a minute. Hey, we were just talking about how Gottlieb went out of business, so I decided to go back into time to another time when Gottlieb went out of business. This was 1983, the early part of 1983. Gottlieb went out of business when Columbia Pictures decided they no longer wanted to be in the games business, and they unceremoniously pulled the plug. They shut the factory, and then they went looking for a buyer. The buyer was their New York distributor, Mondial, who was a big exporter of Gottlieb pinballs, and they had Gil Pollock, who was a executive under Columbia Pictures, run the whole thing. At the time that Gottlieb closed the factory for a couple weeks and tried to find a new buyer, in pre-production was a game called Going Nuts. Now, this has got what they call an E serial number, which is for engineering. They only made, I've heard different stories, 9, I've heard 9 and I've heard 11 for numbers on this. They made only a handful of them. They used the cabinet from the previous game, Cubert's Cubes. If you look at the cabinet, it has the Cubert's Cubes on it. Apparently they didn't want to spend the money to make another cabinet. Also, Cubert's Cube had a ball shooter, and since they were using that cabinet, they had to put a metal plate over where the ball shooter was. And if you look down here, they had a spot for credits and ball in play indicator, but of course that's on the back glass in this one, so they didn't even punch it out. It's obviously a handmade game. It's not a production item. If you look underneath, oh, I hate these heavy games. It doesn't have that finished look that most Gottlieb games have. You'll have, you know, stray wires that just seem to come and go, and the bundles aren't as tight. You also don't have a schematic. What you've got is just a blueprint right there for game number 682, and it's just something that's, you know, kind of hand-drawn, and that's all the paperwork you got with the game. If you look down here, you'll see the serial numbers written in hand, 1003E. E is for engineering, so this is the third one they built.
Was this ever meant to actually go out anyway?
Yeah, they would eventually.
I feel a charge coming through this.
Probably bad grounds. I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, you can see that it's all kind of hand done. Up here on the playfield, though, what you've got is what I consider, this has to be in my top 10 games of all time. Not because it's rare and because I own it, simply because it's a lot of fun. It's a multi-ball game where you start out in 3-ball, and then you go down to 2-ball and 1-ball, but you have a chance to earn yourself back to multi-ball. And the whole thing is based on squirrels gathering nuts. Oh, another thing you can tell it's kind of a engineering game is because none of the bumpers, the color schemes don't match. It's just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You got red caps on yellow bumpers. You got green caps on yellow bumpers. I think whatever they had sitting around was kind of what they used. I have no idea who designed this, and I have no idea who did the art on it. Again, nobody's talking. What you've got is, again, color groups of drop targets: green, red, yellow, and blue and white. And again, these targets have broken, and I've replaced them, you know, with different designs. The idea is to get a complete set of targets, and you will light a corresponding nut. And you can see in the center of the game is a whole grid full of nuts of different colors. Now what you do, we'll pull back here. You get this groovy little squirrel noise, and it counts itself down and launches not one, not two, but 3 balls in the multi-ball. So you start out in 3-ball multi-ball. Now what you want to do is hit targets. For every target you hit, you add 3 time units. When you're in 3-ball, you add 2 time units when you're in 2-ball. So the idea is to keep hitting these targets when you have 3 balls bouncing around. You can see I'm collecting nuts here in the center grid. And then when you go from 3 balls, you happen to lose it down to 2 balls. Now every time you score, you're only getting 2 time units. And then when you lose and you get down to 1 ball, then your timer actually starts to count down. And you're in a race against time.
That's nuts.
When you run out of time, the ball ends. I mean, you can just be playing and all of a sudden the ball ends. But you have a chance to redeem yourself, Pinball Soldier. If you hit one of these white targets, you will light the roll-unders to get you back into multi-ball. So now, since I'm in 1 ball, I can send it through that loop, and all of a sudden I'm back in 2-ball, which gives me a chance to hit more targets and build my time units back up. Now, since I'm in 2-ball multi-ball, I'm adding 2 time units for every target I hit. Plus, you have this captive ball up here that if you get down to 1 ball, and you can whack this guy, you can actually launch back into 3-ball multi-ball. So now we're going to go back and go into 3-ball multi-ball. And it's kind of neat because your strategy has to shift during the game.
That music's really great.
Yeah, really annoying. And you can see there's a couple other touches that you can tell it's obviously kind of handmade. If you look down here, this originally was a sticker that said auto launch. for some areas where ball shooters were illegal, Gottlieb made a kit for their other games that would replace the ball shooter with a coil mechanism. Well, they didn't have any of the stickers left, so they just made a cheap little photocopy, kind of stuck it on there. It's hand-built, it's kind of neat. I really, really like this game. If you ever have a chance to get one, I would get one. They had one, Mike Pasak had one at the third Pinball Expo. He had a $600 price tag on it. It went unsold on the last day. He took it back home. So if you get a chance, I paid $1,845 for this game, but I bought it new and I put it in an arcade and it made a lot of money. And speaking of money, it's that time again. Time for me to beg for money. Hey folks, $6. The more people that send in the $6, the more tapes I can afford to send out on speculation. It's like a propaganda machine. Keep sending your money. There's the address. Also, if you have any corrections, if I've said anything incorrect, please let me know. If you want to flame me or spam me or diss me, there's the address right there. It'll be a lot of fun. This is Going Nuts, a great game. They also came out with another game called Kroll, which we'll get into on a later tape. We're going to move over here. We're going to do a novelty real quick. This is not a pinball. It's almost a pinball. It's Chicago Coin's Mini Baseball. Now, this was a runaway hit game for Chicago Coin in the early 70s. Basically what it is a little bagatelle type machine. It's upright. It sits on its own pedestal base. I've got two of these. My other one I got kind of wrecked and broken and the pedestal base was gone. Another collector in Michigan, thanks Tiny, gave me this game with the pedestal base. He said it was all broken and he couldn't fix it. So I went ahead and fixed it. It's kind of neat. What you have is a basic baseball game. The hallmark of a good game is that anybody can walk up to it and understand the rules. And one of my problems with these new games is that there's too many rules and you can never understand the first time you play how to play it. This is just baseball. Everybody knows how to play baseball. You put in your quarter, press the reset, it gives you a little red ball. And you take the little red ball and you have this skill lever and you try to flip it over like that. And I just scored a triple and the little man runs around to third base. Oh, I got an out, and it farts at me when you get an out. 3 outs and the game ends. Now, I just had a single which brought the man on third in, and we got a guy on first. The whole skill of the game is to lob the ball right up here and have it land in this yellow zone, because the yellow zone is safe, and you can also get a cancel out. It's a sucker play. If you try to get it over here and bounce it off this cushion, it always ends up in this out. So you want a real gradual shot that just kind of lobs it. Roll, home run. And you heard the little electronic soundboard. It had an actual electronic, which was quite novel for 1971, an electronic soundboard. Now, since I hit this home run, I lit the left arrow. If I lit the right arrow, it'll light the center one for 10 runs. I'm just trying to lob it up there. Ah, there we go. Now if I can hit this center one, not only do I get a cancel out and a double, I get 10 bonus runs. The only problem is if I hit an out, it cancels both arrows. But basically you could put this in a pizza store, any place where space was a problem. It's a very small game, and everybody knows how to play it. It's cute, and it actually has some skill to it, trying to keep it away from these red areas. If you get a chance to get a mini baseball, I would recommend it. Oh, there's my out. 3 outs and the game ends. Originally it had a 10-cent coin chute. Of course, I put the quarter chute in there, and I put the sticker on there. It says 1 play, 25 cents. I like it. It's a neat game. We're going to do another novelty game right next door. As soon as I plug it in, we're going to see ice cold beer. Yeah, and these guys, they're cool. They're like 70s, man. But this is called ice cold beer. What you have is this bar here, and you got a little steel ball, At the start of the game, it plays you a little beer tune. What you have to do is maneuver the ball using this movable bar. You just have a couple video game controls which moves each end of the bar. Whoa! And if you get it in an unmarked hole, you're a loser.
There's a lot of those.
Whoa, whoa! See, you gotta get used to maneuvering this bar. There we go.
One!
Now this was originally designed as a ticket spitting game. Yeah, there's the rules and stuff.
Amusement only.
Yeah, except for the ticket version. They also made another one without beer as a theme that you could put in the kiddie land. It was called Zeke's Peak. This one was supposed to go in a bar, and you're supposed to be able to win a beer if you got to a certain point.
Who's Taito?
Taito is Japanese. Yeah, and if you don't play it, the bar will sit there and move just to make sure there's no stuck balls. It's all driven by a computer. It's kind of a neat game. Hey, maybe I can get two real quick. Oh! Ah, help, help, help! But yeah, it's a neat little game. One of the other local pinball collectors gave me a call, told me that there was an ice cold beer in the paper for 200 bucks. So I called the guy up.
That's a beer.
Well, no, this is a real nice game for 200 bucks. He bought it new. He bought it new for $500 on a closeout, had it in his house. If you look at it, there isn't a scratch on it. It's just like new, except for some vandals here that wrote on the glass. That's kind of crude. Haven't taken that off of there yet. But yeah, it's a neat little game. I know all you purists are saying shut up and let's see some more pinballs, but unfortunately the novelty games like this are the things that make the money in any arcade. This will make more money than a classic pinball, so I've got them. We'll do another pinball right now. We're going to move over this way. This pinball isn't even done yet. This is an example of how you can get cheap pinballs from operators after they've started to take them apart and then gotten sick of the whole project.
Hey, this is a pile of stuff.
This is a pile of stuff. This was a $400 pile of stuff. This is a game called Rocky and Bullwinkle. If you look at it, the cabinet is nearly perfect. I don't think they ran it very long. What I got was basically a box of parts. I got a circuit board, another circuit board, whole piles of stuff. I have to figure out, where does this metal bracket go? So Sherlock will get out his spyglass and figure it out. It was also missing a few things. Back here, at some point during the game, Rocky pulls different things out of his hat. And I was missing this lion piece. And unfortunately, plastics are getting so expensive. This lion piece cost me $31 just for that little lion piece. I only paid 400 bucks for the whole game. Inside the head, when I started with this game, I hate Data East. Go to hell. Okay, but there was boards were hanging in there by one screw. Somebody had taken this coil off because they needed a coil. All this stuff was just completely wrecked. Another local collector has been helping me with this. You can see over here, you basically have to strip everything off. You have to get it down to basically bare wood. You have to completely clean it. Although you can see the playfield is in real nice shape underneath the dirt because it has that new diamond plate surface that they're using that doesn't have the little mushroom marks. Okay, yeah, and then another neat thing is this little gizmo here, which fits over on the side. And here's Nell, and she's on a log. And at some point during the game, she actually moves up on this little track, and the saw cuts her in half. I wanted to put like a real miniature saw blade in there and maybe actually cut her up. But it's a real nice, colorful game. If you look at it, you got all these color things you got to hit. It's very cartoony. I've always liked pinball machines that are cartoony. that look like pinball machines. It's got all the characters from the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. Somebody was pointing out that there was one of the designers featured themselves in here. Yeah, there's a couple of these. These are the Data East people. They're always putting their own faces in. Oh, and if you get a Data East game, you should buy a bunch of these little yellow caps that go on the ball poppers. Because for some reason they made them out of an incredibly cheap plastic, and these little fins always wear off. And if the fins wear off, the ball will sit crooked, and that'll cause your whole mechanism to wear out. So buy some of these caps while you can still get them. I got 2 or 3 in stock, even though I don't have any Data East games. Here's a ball diverter up here. Wish I could show you what the whole game looks like, but this is a work in progress. Rocky and Bullwinkle from Data East, also known as Sega. Hey, we're back. We're going even farther back in time now. We're going all the way back to the 30s. We go from the 90s to the 30s. This is Bally Manufacturing's Action from December of 1934. You can tell it's from the 30s. If you see up here in the corner, it's got the NRA, which is not the National Rifle Association. It's the National Recovery Act. It's got a bird holding a gear and some arrows, and everybody's supposed to do their part. It was the government's idea of a feel-good program in the 30s so that everybody would forget that there was a depression happening.
FDR.
FDR, yeah. And this one's in real nice original shape. I got this of all places at a yard sale here in Las Vegas.
No way.
Yes, $200 at a yard sale. Had the original keys, which I have since lost.
Whoops.
You can see it's got the Art Deco paint scheme. It's got the real nice, cool stuff. This is also Bally's first game with electricity. Originally, it ran on a dry cell battery. I know this because I found the battery covered in about 6 inches of battery fur in the bottom of the game.
Ooh,
I
original owner?
I don't know, but they should have taken the battery out because it leaked. So what I did was replaced it with a pinball transformer, and now it plugs into the wall. The idea of the skill award was that the bartender was supposed to give you that many games, I mean nickels, if you got good. You can also see that you have the original Do Not Tilt, which is just a little ball that goes back up on a pedestal. And if the ball is knocked off the pedestal like it is right now, you don't get paid by the bartender.
Oh.
But basically what you've got is little glass marbles. There's 9 yellow ones and a red one. And you push it up here. Oh, there's the red ball. Red ball counts double. And we're going to shoot up there. And you see where it says bounder? If you hit that, there's actually a solenoid in there that'll actually... Bouncer, I'm sorry. That'll actually kick the ball away.
So that was the electric part.
That was, oh, there's also this cannon arrangement. If you can land it in the action hole, see if I can land it in the action hole. Oh, hit the bounder. There we go. Now we're in the action hole. It'll pop out here. No, it pops out here and puts you in the 1,000 points. So it actually had, similar to one of the new Williams games, it actually had little ramps under there and ball diverters. Kind of a neat game, very pretty to look at. I actually have a second one of these that I got years ago that's missing legs. So if anybody wants a project game, let me know. I've got a second one of these. Oh, go in the bouncer. Oh, and if you can get in the release hole, there we go. Now it'll kick it up here into this center play field. So what you got is little ramps and little kickers. Quite a neat little game. If you put this in a bar or in a small cigar store or candy store, you could make quite a bit of money based on the fact that the bartender or store owner would pay you off some sort of a prize if you got to a certain set of points. So this is a neat game, again, from 1934, first Electric Bally pinball. Well, we're going to set up a couple more games and we'll be back in a minute. Hey, we're going to do another novelty game, although it's kind of like a pinball. It's actually got pins and the coins are actually kind of like a ball. Many people have not seen a Bally skill roll. Now they made a series of 3 games, all with the word roll in it. They had Skill Roll, Skill Derby, and Skill Parade. Skill Roll was the first one. It was in 1956. Then they followed up with Skill Parade which had a slot machine theme, and they finished up with Skill Derby, which had actual horses running along up here on top, kind of like one of the Williams horse games. Of the three, you would think that the simple little skill roll would be the least fun, but actually people who have played all three, myself included, have almost all come to the conclusion that the skill roll is actually the most fun. What you start out with is a simple coin called a nickel. For you people overseas, this is worth about a nickel. You put it in this hole up here. Yep, damn counterfeit nickels. Now, what's going on?
Stupid.
This is bad. You're embarrassing me. And what you do is the nickel is between a piece of plexiglass and the back wooden panel, and you've got little flip levers.
Just to illustrate.
Yes, there's little numbers. What you try to do is flip the ball into the highest value number on each rail. Now you see at the start of the rail, you have a little nickel flipping mechanism. Bally actually reused this whole mechanism a couple times in slot machines. But what you do is you take and you try to roll the nickel into the highest value. Now if we just scored 10 points, wow. If you pull back a little, we can see this whole next rail. What we have is an easy shot into 10, a slightly harder shot into 30, and a real difficult shot into 50. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to pace it. Oh, I went too far and I got 20. Now I'm going to try to get this 50 here by timing my shot. Nope, too hard. And what you do is you try to score points by getting into the different rails. Now you'll notice on the first 5 or 6 rails, there's no way to lose the coin. You can see on this rail, all there are winners. Hey, there's 50 right there. But when you get down to the bottom 3 rails, what you're into are these mysterious gobble holes. So what happens then is you lose your nickel. But if you can get it all the way to the bottom, to the infamous 8th rail, you will win yourself a very special prize, which we will cover in a minute. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to shoot it with enough power so it gets over this hole, but not too much power so it ends up down here in that hole. So here we go, here we go. Oh, I got 40. Now, I'm at 170. I get my nickel back for 240. So all I have to do is get this 70 here and I win. So I'm going to try to get up too hard. You can see I lost my nickel. Originally, when I got this game, it didn't have this header on it, and it did not have this hopper cup, and it did not have the quarter chute. So I'm now going to go into how I modified this game to make it even more fun. The first thing I did was I put a quarter chute on it, because most people in America don't have a whole lot of nickels in their pocket. So what you do is you put a quarter in here, and it pays you 5 nickels in the cup.
Wow.
It's like having a built-in change machine. Let's do that again here. I'll put it in. Now, I've got plenty of nickels, so I can go ahead and play this game, especially if you put this in an arcade where everybody has quarters. You don't want to have put in a whole nother change machine just to give nickels. Now you've got a built-in change machine.
Cool.
And that also started me thinking, after I put in this hopper and after I put in the quarter chute, it got me thinking, wow, you know, it'd be kind of neat if you got your nickel back if you got to a certain score. And since I've already got the mechanism in there to spit the nickels out, why not have it give 240, your nickel is returned. This sign is just up here in paper. I have to get a good plastic sign and a cover made for this. So I decided, okay, if you can get to 240, you will get your nickel back, which basically means you have to hit 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, and maybe 130. It's real tough on the first 7 rails to get 240. Then you have these lower rails here where you can actually start losing your coin. That makes it impossible. Now, I talked to somebody who had operated one of these games in the 50s and 60s, and he said that the bartender would give you a free beer if you could get this 8th rail. If you could get it all the way down, there's a little peg there, and that peg actually holds the nickel so the bartender can see the nickel. And then the next time somebody puts a coin in, the peg goes in and dumps the nickel.
Whoa.
So I figured, oh, that's pretty neat, but why don't, since we already have a hopper mechanism in there to spit nickels out, why don't we give people a really big prize if they can get it all the way to the bottom? So I went out and I got myself an old bingo credit meter, and I wired it up here inside an old metal cash box. Now you can see that right now, if you get it all the way to the bottom, you'll get a bonus of 56 coins if you can get it all the way down to the bottom. When I first rebuilt this game, I set it at 10 coins, and since then it's built itself all the way up to 56. It's just about impossible to shoot the nickel up past this hole. You have to have it to get enough power that it's over this hole, but you have to get it with just enough power that it gets only there and drops there, or just enough power that it flies through space, actually through space, and into that one. This game is like heroin. I told Alvin this the other night.
It's true.
He sat there and played it for about an hour and a half, trying to get this stupid shot. This shot on the 7th rail is hard, and this shot on the 8th rail is even harder. It can be done.
How many times have you done it?
I've done it twice, and it was pretty much by accident both times.
Out of how many plays?
Oh, I played it thousands of times. So this is like the Holy Grail, getting it down here. But what happens is, why don't you get a shot of the coin cup there, and I will simulate a bonus pay. That's what happens. Woo! You see up here that it's counting down the numbers as it pays out the coins.
Woo!
Whoa.
I'm rich. I'm rich.
So I'm rich. I just won myself 56 damn nickels.
Whoa.
But you're saying out there in East Podunk, well, isn't that gambling?
Uh-oh.
Is it? But no, it's not gambling, because this is a game of skill.
I'm amused.
And you're amused. And at this point, I'm in Nevada where gambling is legal anyways. I'll probably never operate this game, but it's just the idea of winning 56 nickels, of getting all that money, cascading money. So let's go around back and I'll show some of the things I had to do to get this to work. All of this stuff in here I had to add in. Here's a coin relay, another coin relay. Here's the bonus step-up alternator. What this does is every 5th coin that you put in, it adds 1. You can hear it click every 5th time. It adds 1 to our jackpot meter on the top. Here's your 2 pay relays. One that awards 1 coin for hitting 240. And here's the big bonus one, which awards all the coins on the meter. I had to put in cabling that ran from the top to the bottom. I had to have polarized plugs. I had to have an adjustment for high score. Basically, about half of the stuff in here is new. And if you look down here, here's the hopper mechanism, which came off an old Bally Bingo. And here's the mechanism that counts. Basically, when you put a quarter in, it just counts to 5 and gives you 5 nickels. I've got a huge amount of time in this game, but I really think it's neat. I like it a lot. We got one more thing to do before we end the tape, so we're going to get that ready, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, hey, we're back. We're outside in what we call the dismantling area. This is where games that have no hope of ever being saved are dismantled and all the parts are taken off them. I have a special bonus prize of a t-shirt to anyone who can tell me what this mechanism panel came from. We'll get a couple close-up shots of it. There's some clues on here that will tell you definitely what is the only game that this mechanism panel can go to. As you can see, the first thing you do is start by clipping off all the wire. You should never throw your wire out. You should put it in a big pile, and then you can sell it for scrap and recycle it. All these motors and these things and all these relays will be taken off and stored away in boxes. Even the screws, I'll take something like this screw, put it in a bin with a similar screw, and next time I need one of these, I'll have an exact replacement that came off an actual Bally machine. Oh, I gave a hint. And at the start of the dismantling process, you can see that this game here is, this is a United Mexico. This one has definitely seen better days. We have to start the dismantling process just by basically laying the game down, and then you take your automatic, dismantle it. Smash pinball, smash! Smash pinball, bad! Bad! Bad pinball, bad! Every now and then it's just good just to kick the shit out of something that you own, just to show that you got absolutely no respect for it. And I know there's people out there crying and doing the big boo-hoo, but oh well. That's how you dismantle a game. We're just about out of tape. We'll be back with the 4th tape as soon as I get around to it again. Send me $6, and if you got any comments or suggestions, throw that in too, and I'll be back for the next tape. Bye!